What's good, Liberators? Fingers here, and this is Dx2 Demon Review, and today we are going to be going over the mystery that is Marici. Now, she's fresh on the summoning portal, so I figured we'd talk about her to help you decide whether you should blow your precious gem load on this little vixen. So let's check her out. Known as Marici in Japan, she is a sun goddess of Buddhism. Her name means light or heat haze. In Japan, she was worshipped by warriors, said to give the benefits of protection from harm and the ability to attack the enemy without being noticed. She is often portrayed as having 3 heads, 6 or 8 arms with weapons like bows and vajra. Pretty cool. Good one, Sega. I like it. Now let's check the stats. Strength, a natural 195, maxes out at 215. So workable. Definitely not the best, but you can definitely put out some pain with that number. Magic, garbage. Vitality, garbage. Agility, 158 naturally. Not exceptional, but slap on the extra 20, maxed out at 178, and it can be workable on your speedster physical team. And you're going to have to prop her up. You're going to have your Kardikeas and your Shroshas in there to get that speed up there in the mid 50,000 range to be viable, but it can be done. And you can make it play. Absolutely. Her luck is halfway decent. Natural 160. I, of course, boosted it up an extra 10 to help with that crit rate slightly. But there you have it. She knows fire, resists light, which, of course, are completely useless in this day and age because everything will pierce right through all that. Let's get into the main event, the transferable. Enduring Soul Plus heals 500 HP upon receiving the first killing blow, so she is a stubborn bitch to put down. Very cool, and it's also the transferable, so you might want to think about fusing her, which you can, but only the common archetype in multi-fusion. Not ideal if you're going to run her in PvP, but if you want that Enduring Soul Plus, it is an option. Her first unique skill, Shimmer Arrow, activates the following chain effect. When a member of your party, including herself, activates a physical skill, it inflicts light magic damage with a power of 80, so not huge, but it's piling on damage. So with light pierce effect, critical. It's got that light pierce. Excellent. On a single enemy. And this is a single random enemy. So if you attack with Marici or one of your other demons, you use a physical skill, which normal attacks do not count. This has to be an MP-based physical skill for Shimmer Arrow to trigger. You pop off on a single enemy, and she will target a random enemy on your enemy's team. She will not automatically double tap whatever you just hit. It's possible that could happen, but it is a randomly chosen enemy. So whether Marici's attacking or one of your other demons is using a physical skill, it will still just target a random enemy on the field. So you can't guarantee that she's going to help put down whatever it is you're attacking. So that is something to bear in mind. The damage inflicted by this skill is dependent on physical attack, which is great because this is a light-based, it's technically a magic attack, but it uses her physical number to determine the damage. And what this also means is that things like Fizz Boost, the passive skills Fizz Boost, Fizz Amp, will not apply to Shimmer Arrow, but a Light Boost, Light Amp will improve the damage of this skill. And as icing on the cake, nullifies all death prevention skills. Fantastic. Gotta love those abilities. And regular attacks and counter effects will not activate when you use this skill. So, okay, good. As if counter effects are ever a threat, but hey, it's nice to know that it won't work on Shimmer Arrow. And her other unique skill, Daylight Blade, inflicts physical damage with a power of 130 with a 50% critical rate on a single enemy and enters into a state of concentrate if the attack is successful, increasing the next magic attack damage by 125%. This skill will have a physical pierce effect. Excellent. Got that physical pierce on there. And this is why I like Marici. She's one of those demons that just falls into that wacky weird kind of category where the devs were thinking outside the box a little bit when they cooked this up. Right? So Marici executes Daylight Blade, instantly goes into a state of concentrate, and then immediately fires off Shimmer Arrow afterwards, using her concentrated ability, boosting this by 125%. Boom. Nice. But she only gets that concentrate effect when she attacks. So when your other demons do their physical skills, they're going to get Shimmer Arrow, but they're going to get the basic bitch version of Shimmer Arrow and not her Daylight Blade concentrate charged up Mega Blast. But that's cool though. I like that. They tempered it a little bit. They made it, they had something going on there. You saw what you see what they were thinking of when they cooked that up, and I love it. I like what they were going for there, and it's great. Now, Daylight Blade there's a little bit of a problem with Daylight Blade, and that's its base cost, as you can see here, is 7 MP. Not good. Especially when if you're running her, you want to be running her on a speedy team. Speedster physical team, preferably. Now, fully leveling up the skill, you can get that down to 6 MP, which means that she requires, 1, that you level that Daylight Blade up to the max before you run her, and 2, she needs Divine Brands. If you're running her in PvP, there's no way of getting around it, because the best you can do is 6 MP on Daylight Blade. Her spirit panels don't have anything that reduce that MP cost any further, so she needs those Divine Brands. And another problem is if you're going up against an Undead Alice team, you're shit out of luck, and there's nothing you can do about it really, barring your Dx2's random MP boost skill kicks in, but those are 10% chance to fire off, so it's unreliable at best. So that is something you have to keep in mind, because Undead Alice is still everywhere, just like the Moirai sisters are still everywhere, just like Hiro Masakato is still everywhere, and Angra's still everywhere. You got to keep these things in mind when you're running PvP. Especially, well, if you're running PvP random, I only run PvP random. So when I speak about PvP, assume that I'm talking about your random team. So for her, I would highly recommend Divine Brands with a minor in Speed Brands, and of course giving her as much physical attack percentage boosts as you can to beef up that both Shimmer Arrow and Daylight Blade to the max. As for the spirit panels, panel 1 plus 15% to physical hit rate, a godsend for PvP because there's a lot of evasion going around. You know it, I know it, so be prepared for it. Get as much accuracy as you can muster, and this panel just very nice. Adds a nice little layer of protection onto there. Because if you miss in PvP, it is a death sentence. Be aware. Panel 2 activates the following chain effect when this demon downs an enemy. Recovers 2 MP. And this kicks in quite a bit because Shimmer Arrow does have that death nullification prevention on it. It cuts right through Endure, cuts through Enduring Soul, and all the other, keep them alive after their HP hits 0 nonsense. Cuts right through it. So pretty cool. Very cool. And this will trigger even if it's on a chain effect. Another demon attacks. She chain effects Shimmer Arrow onto that, and she will get that MP no matter what, so long as it's her attack that puts the enemy down. And panel 3, the Big Mamma Jammer, plus 20% to physical and light damage, improving her damage all around. Very basic, yet very amazing at the same time. And before we hop over to her other archetypes, of course, I've got her in the Psychic archetype, which gives her great aim, which, as I was just saying, adds to her physical hit rate, which is a godsend in PvP, plus 20%. Can't go wrong there. As for her passive skills, Speedster, I think, is essential. And ignore that Bufu. That was there for one of those Ordergate SP events. What I would recommend for her, Speedster and Master Assassin, which gives 20% damage boost to single target attacks, which means it will apply to both Daylight Blade and Shimmer Arrow, giving her the best of both worlds. You can put physical boost, Fizz Boost on there, Fizz Amp on there, but it will only apply to Daylight Blade. You can put Light Boost, Light Amp on there, but it will only apply to Shimmer Arrow. So if you find a Master Assassin, slap it on there and you will get the best of both worlds, plus 20% to both. I think that's the best possible option. And while we're on the subject of her chain effects, this will trigger when another demon's chain effect kicks off. And what I mean by that is such as with someone like Floros, right? He's got Iron Fist, I believe is the name of his skill. So he uses Iron Fist. Boom. Shimmer Arrow triggers. Iron Fist triggers its chain effect, which is another physical attack that hits every enemy. It's a physical sweep skill. Shimmer Arrow will trigger again on that chain effect. The same thing with someone like Shrosha, right? Or if Shrosha does his single target attack, boom, Shimmer Arrow kicks off. Soul Judgment goes off. Shimmer Arrow kicks off again. Well, technically, he'll use a single target attack. Soul Judgment will kick off, and potentially 2 Soul Judgments will kick off, and then Marici will then, after those go, her chain effect will trigger, and she will Shimmer Arrow up to 3 times. Well, I believe 3 times. I only saw it trigger twice, because normally if Shrosha's, if he triple taps, everything's already dead. So I've yet to verify whether it goes off on that second Soul Judgment chain, but it might. It might. So you can get into some downright wacky situations of chains off of chains off of chains. And I don't even know what would happen if you were running here with Shrosha and Shrosha goes, Soul Judgment kicks off, she Shimmer Arrows, kills something. Does that re-trigger Shrosha's Soul Judgment? I believe it does. I believe it will. I cannot confirm, but I believe it does. And if you get some crazy routine like that going, well, your enemies are in for a world of pain, and you will be laughing your ass off all the way to rank number 1. As for the other archetypes, let's see what there is on offer. I don't recall them offhand, but I remember their Psychic being the only thing that really struck me as viable. Yeah. So, the Origami archetype, Myriad Arrows. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Myriad Arrows, but, I mean, you want her just using Daylight Blade. You just want her using Daylight Blade all the time. Really, you don't want to give her any other kind of attack. You just want to focus on making Daylight Blade as beast as possible. So I wouldn't recommend this, even though I like Myriad Arrows as an attack skill in general. It's pretty powerful if it kicks off all 5 times, but I would say stay away from it on Miss Marici. Protector archetype, Blood Rush, Increases own party's attack and evasion accuracy by 20%. Which, hey, I mean, not bad. I mean, you could set her up as something of just a passive kind of demon where you have her in protector. You're running her on speedster physical team, and you just use her first turn to blood rush, get everyone buffed up, evasion and accuracy, attack boost, and then you just let her Shimmer Arrow off of all your other demons' skills, because like we were discussing before, Daylight Blade costs 6 MP, so you need Divine Brands just to get that functional. If you were going to run something like this where she's more passive, hey, you could give her Life Brands or War Brands, probably better suited if you wanted to make her Shimmer Arrow and just focus on the Shimmer Arrow and neglect Daylight Blade. You could probably do something like this, but it's been my understanding that if you're going with buffs, you're either going with auto skills, auto buffs, debuffs at the beginning of the fight, or your buffs are coming from skills that have that built into them, where you use, like Hiro Masakato's Kuyo Flash, right? He does an attack, and it provides buffs and debuffs with the attack. And there are a bunch of demons like that whose skills double as attacking skills plus buffing skills. And those are, generally speaking, the best things to use in PvP, maximizing your turns, getting the most bang for your buck, double tasking and all that. Psychic Archetype, Great Aim, which we discussed. And lastly, Drain Light, and as usual, the loser of the bunch because Elementalist archetypes suck ass. And that right there is about the long and the short of it. I hope you enjoyed this discussion of this sexy little siren right here. And down below, I want you to comment on which one of the Marici heads is the best, or I should say upper bodies. Because I gotta say, I like Spear Girl. I think she is best girl in this situation. You let me know what you think down below. And remember, Liberators, do not get captured.